My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. So we've already broken down this fight. Myself, Jacob, we broke down this fight, Ryan Hall versus Ilia Topuria, and you guys went crazy for it, and people are completely going all over these picks. We have half the people on Ilia's side, half the people on Ryan Hall's side. Jacob and I were also split on this pick. Danny Boy is back from his work trip, so he is here. We're going to break down this fight again. So we have Ryan Hall versus Ilia Topuria. Ryan Hall is 8-1, and he is 4-1 in his last 5, but he is riding a 4-fight win streak. Ilia Topuria, obviously 10-0, completely undefeated. Ryan Hall fights once every 2.5 years, once every 3 years. He won't fight forever. Then he shows up, does some crazy nonsense, wins by submission, disappears for 3 more years, and does it again. Ilia Topuria is a very good wrestler, or a good striker. First of all, phenomenal striker with very good grappling and wrestling. He's incredibly powerful. And the big question is, can Ilia neutralize the craziness that is Ryan Hall? Ryan Hall, as you know, very, very good grappler. When we did the breakdown the other day, I said Ryan Hall has like non-competition jiu-jitsu in his fights. What I mean by that is obviously Ryan Hall is actually a credentialed grappler. He's competed in world competitions, won, done really well. But in fights, he does not move from position to position. I mean, he will take anything, anywhere, at any weird angle. So Ryan Hall, incredibly tricky on his feet. And
yeah, I'm going to go grab a sandwich real quick. I'll be back in like 20.
Yeah, that'll be perfect.
And by the way, Ryan Hall, 3 of his last 4 wins are decisions. So it's not like he does wild stuff. He wins decisions all the time.
Correct. He does win decisions, and he does have underrated hands. I saw a stat, and then I'll go to you, Danny Boy. I saw a stat that like Ryan Hall is one of the least hit fighters in UFC history. He doesn't get hit. Granted, that's because he's crazy. He will literally like jump backwards, move completely out of the way, fall down, and do crazy stuff to not get hit. But he's not hittable, has crazy weird style, phenomenal jiu-jitsu. Ilia Topuria has phenomenal hands, very good jiu-jitsu himself, obviously not as good, and good wrestling and takedowns. Danny Boy, you weren't able to join us for the first fight. Jake has been interrupted like crazy in this breakdown. Why don't you go ahead and give us your opinion?
Jacob, you want me to go, or you want me to let you get your stuff out first?
No, I don't need to defend Ryan Hall, because I mean he speaks for himself.
Okay. Listen, this is a very well. Look at this. I'm back, and I'm already hitting with the trickies. This is a tricky fight across the board. I mean, you kind of nailed. You gave all the stats on Hall. Hasn't fought in a couple of years. But his last pro loss was 2006. That's pretty impressive. Even though a lot of time off in between. But, I mean, this guy really just does Imanari rolls and spinning heel kicks and does not care if he falls on the ground. He can throw those heel kicks recklessly because if he falls on the ground, he's like, all right, sweet, I'll just somehow roll into a back handspring and go for a heel hook. I mean, he literally threw like 5 heel kicks in his last fight. He landed one of them, dropped the guy. He didn't really throw a lot of punches, but he did land one and drop the guy, dropped his opponent too in the last fight. So I mean, I wouldn't say he has good boxing, but he doesn't really need to. He keeps his hands low. He's just an awkward dude to fight. Topuria, on the other hand, he's very young, but he's improving every fight. He's definitely the much more well-rounded fighter. Solid wrestling. People, everyone talks about Hall's jiu-jitsu because he's got the tricky, flashy guard, Imanari rolls and all that. But Topuria is very legit on the ground too. The big difference in this fight is Topuria's boxing. It is going to be significantly better than Hall's. I think his style is one that's going to give Hall problems. especially Hall's body type. He's kind of a lankier, skinnier guy. Where Topuria is short and just will
Those
throw.
guys, I mean, not to cut you, those guys are tough. Those tall, lanky guys, some of the toughest guys I know are
Right.
tall,
This would be
skinny,
this is gonna
unassuming.
right. This is a Topuria versus Jacob's body. So you can imagine the body hooks that would be landing from the shorter Topuria on Jacob. But no, I think listen, Hall is live just like he's live in any fight to catch you in a weird scramble. But I mean, I just see Topuria being smart enough to the fight should go like this. Topuria goes forward, gets in range, lands body shots, goes to the head. Hall does not look like his defense is there in terms of striking. His hands are always low. He's very loose because he can kind of do that from a distance and then roll into to a heel hook type thing. But if Topuria gets in, lands shots, and then when Hall rolls for something, he just disengages and resets, he could literally just rinse and repeat. Just keep doing that and just keep disengaging from those wild heel hook scrambles. I mean, that's really the only way I see Hall winning this fight. He hasn't fought in a couple years, so maybe he's going to have some decent striking, but I just don't see it. So is he live for a heel hook? Of course he is. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Topuria is good enough on the ground and really, I don't want to say he's training for a one-trick pony, but he's kind of training for one real problem, which is some sort of weird transition to get into the ground and get caught in a heel hook. And you guys were actually talking about it before. He's got a ton of heel hooks, but if you also look in recent fights, he's got a ton of decisions. I don't think he's got the skills to win a decision against Topuria. I think his only shot is to get that heel hook and land it early when they're both dry. If that doesn't happen, I think Hall is going to walk him down and land big shots and eventually land a big knockout shot. So that's my guess. That's how I see the fight. The one thing I will say, the one X factor is whenever you fight a guy like Ryan Hall with this weird matchup and you have one thing in your mind that you're thinking about, you're like, all right, I got to watch out for the heel hook. I got to watch out for the weird rolls. I got an Imanari roll or whatever it is. Sometimes that makes you you try to avoid the mistake so bad that you end up making a mistake. So Topuria is a young fighter, so we'll see how he handles it. But listen, if he sticks to a solid game plan and does what he needs to do, I see him landing big shots, disengaging, and doing that over and over again until he lands the big shot that puts Hall away. So I'm going Topuria by knockout.
Whoa!
Yeah, he really.
You don't have to disrespect it like that. Just say he's going to lose. Jesus Christ!
That's my pick. Big body shots. When Hall doesn't get his weird rolls, and then comes over the top with a big, just like very similar to the last fight, actually.
So, Jakey boy, people who haven't seen our first breakdown, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Ryan Hall is lock of the week because there's the people throw the best kicks in the UFC. It's like Edson Barbosa and then Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall is number 2 in the UFC at throwing kicks. He throws them high, he throws them low, and he says, "Catch them, take me down. I don't care." You mentioned the heel hooks, but I mean, he literally will just throw leg kicks, keep that distance, and if you get close, he'll do something weird, and you're in a bad position. But with those kicks and with that distance control, he's able to win those decision fights. I mean, because he keeps that distance, bing, 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 bing. And then every time there's some sort of exchange, like grappling exchange, he always looks like he's winning the grappling exchange because he's the more calm person in those exchanges. So, I mean, that's the way that he wins decisions. So if he doesn't get the submission, he could still win a decision like he has been. And he's one of the smartest. If you just listen to him talk, he's very unassuming. He's one of the smartest dudes I've ever heard talk. So, I mean, he's very intelligent in there as well. So he knows how to, if he needs to steal around, throw a couple more kicks and steal around. So that's why I love Ryan Hall in this matchup.
It's interesting. So if you watch our first breakdown, the reason we're doing this again is because, I mean, the comment section went crazy. Everybody split on this. And now Dan is here, professional fighter, to give his insight, which he just did. It's the two sides of this are wild because I had people questioning what, in my original breakdown, I said Ilia Topuria is a very good grappler, and people were like, he's a grappler? And that was really because his hands are so good. People don't even pay attention to how live he is for a submission in most of his fights. So he's a very good grappler, great hands. Like Jacob said, Ryan Hall is incredibly weird to fight. He does crazy things, and he's not worried about getting taken down. So he will do more dangerous things than a normal person would do when you don't want to get taken down. He does want to get taken down because that's what he's looking for, and he does have pretty good striking. So this is interesting. My biggest sort of knock against Hall here is his inactivity. I think the sport is honestly passing him by. A couple years at a time, not fighting. I think it's just passing him by. But very quickly before we move on, Jacob, I guess we're positive that you'll have Ryan Hall in your DraftKings lineup, right?
Yeah, and actually, I just checked the money came in a little bit on Ryan Hall too. You can get, I think it's at plus 198 now, so a little bit of a line change there.
Yeah, a little bit of movement there. I know the monkey knife lines. I don't know if those moved or not, but this is an interesting strike line here because 51.5 out of Ryan Hall. That's if you see this going the distance. Ilia Topuria will definitely get 54. Will Ryan Hall get 51? Not if he's on his back. But if he's on his feet doing crazy stuff, then he should. So that's a really hard line. I don't know, Dan, what would you do with that strike line?
I'm going less because I think
because you're just all in on that stoppage.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say I'm all in on the stoppage. I think that's what should happen. But yeah, I just don't see Hall getting that. I mean, 51 strikes unless he's
his last fight, which was a decision. He had 2 knockdowns in that fight. It was still only 40 total strikes landed for Hall.
Right. So,
and typically, I told you, I mentioned that stat earlier. He's one of the least hit people, and just his fight style, his craziness, he doesn't get touched up very often. So I think less is. You're right. That's probably the play here. We did our monkey knife fight breakdown earlier in the week. These lines move. If you like a line, hit it early. They move. So you want to jump on them before you miss out on a solid payday. If you want to do monkey knife fights, you triple your money with every single play. Go to wewantpicks.com/MKF. If you want to place a bet, there's a million prop bets on here. If you're in the Jacob camp, I would grab Ryan Hall by submission. If you're in the Topuria camp, as much as Dan is, I'd grab Topuria by stoppage, knockout, not submission, so knockout TKO prop. Go to wewantpicks.com/bets. You will get phenomenal match options, and let us know after you sign up, and we'll send you $20.